Study Session 9, Cognitive, Social, Emotional Development in Infancy. Babies engaging their brain or doing mental work, cognitive. Introduction. Babies do not only grow physically during the first 2 years of life, but also cognitively, mentally, every day while they interact with and learn about their environment. They create new connections and pathways between nerve cells, their brains, and their bodies. While physical growth and change is easily observed and measured in precise terms such as in inches and pounds, cognitive change and development is a little harder to determine as clearly. In this study, we shall focus our discussion on the cognitive, social, emotional development of infants. We shall note how parents and other care could help in the process of these forms of development. Cognitive development, learning outcomes. At the end of this study session, you should be able to 1. Explain cognitive development. 2. Explain social emotional development in children. Cognitive development refers to the ways children reason, think, develop language, solve problems, and gain knowledge. Identifying colors, completing a maze, knowing the difference between one and many, and knowing how things are similar are all examples of cognitive tasks. As children gain understanding and meaning of the world, their cognitive development can be observed in the ways they play, use language, interact with others, and construct objects and materials. As children grow and interact with their world, they go through various stages of development. The development of an individual is so complex and asynchronous that it's only systematic, scientific, and longitudinal observation that could make it possible for man to comprehend it. This is the main responsibility of the developmental psychologist. They study man's physical, cognitive, and emotional development and its implications for the individual and the society at large. A child's birth weight quadruples by 2 years of age. Between the ages of 2 and 5, children gain an average of 4.5 to 6.5 pounds per year and grow 2.5 to 3.5 inches per year. The child's head and trunk size are large in proportion to the rest of the body, making locomotion more difficult. However, as the legs grow, the child is able to move faster and more easily. Skeletal growth is studied in early childhood, and non-intensive physical activity does not damage growing bones. Joints are flexible, and they get even more flexible during this period. During early childhood, other physical changes take place that enhance the child's ability to move and participate in physical activity. 1. Muscles continue to grow. 2. The nervous system continues to develop. 3. Vision and visual perception improve. Children's vision does not fully mature before ages 6 or 7. Imprecise eye movements limit their ability to track and judge the speed of moving objects. 4. Kinesthesia, the sense that detects body position, weight, and movement of the muscles, tendons, and joints, improves. 5. Sense of balance improves. 1. Cognition improves. Sensorimotor stage. The sensorimotor stage occurs in infancy from birth to about 12 months. Here, infants learn about the world through their senses, looking around constantly, looking at faces of caregivers, responding to smiling faces. During this time of sensory learning, infants also show interest in light and movement, such as a mobile above the crib. Infants also begin to recognize their own names in this stage. The cry develops into gestures and the beginning stages of language such as babbling, then monosyllables such as ba and da, and later to single words put together to make a meaningful sentence. You can observe that infants also communicate through their motor actions. As they grow, they kick and use their arms to reach for people and things that are interesting to them. They respond to voices and seek to be picked up by reaching out. As infants continue to interact with their surroundings and make meaning out of their world, they also learn about themselves, their own bodies. Their hands and toes become body objects of interest. They suck on their hands and toes and may seem to be fascinated with their own hands. During this stage of sensory learning, infants reach for, hit at, and grab objects that are within their reach, such as dangling jewelry and long hair. As infants master new developments in the motor sequence, creeping and crawling, they learn that they have more control over their world. They are no longer totally dependent on an adult to meet some of their needs. For example, if an infant sees a toy on the floor or is feeding bottle on a table within its reach, he has the motor capacity to move towards it and reach for it. The infant's increased freedom to move and have toys and objects within reach is very important. The task for adults, parents, and other caregivers is to ensure that babies have a safe and clean environment in which they can move about and interact. Understanding the characteristics of cognitive development gives us knowledge and insight into how children are developing, thinking, and learning. Principles of cognitive development provide us with a basis for understanding how to encourage exploration of our babies in their process of thinking and learning. As parents and caregivers, we can support cognitive development in infants and young children by providing a variety of appropriate and stimulating material and activities that encourage curiosity, exploration, and opportunities for problem solving. 2. Object permanence. Between the ages of 6 to 9 months, the concept of object permanence develops. This is the infant's understanding that an object continues to exist even if it is out of the infant's sight. Prior to this time, the infant understanding is out of sight, out of mind. Objects cease to exist when the infant does not see them. For example, when an infant plays with a rattle or any other toy and a blanket is placed over the rattle, the infant does not search for it because it does not exist again in the mind of the infant. When object permanence is developed, the child begins to understand that the rattle is still there even though it is covered out of sight. It also means that the infant has a goal of finding the rattle and takes action to find it. Infants during this time will give up searching within a few seconds if they do not find the object. Also important to object permanence is the understanding that other people exist all the time. Children begin to understand that they can cry not just to get needs met but as a means of calling parents or other caregivers. They know that even if a person is not within their reach or their sight, the person still exists. The cry will call the person to them. Also, crying to call a person is a sign that infants are learning to communicate. Social emotional development. The expression of feelings about self, others, and things describe emotional development. Learning to relate to others is social development. Emotional and social development are often described and grouped together because they are closely interrelated growth patterns. Other emotional traits are self-concept and self-esteem. Learning to trust and show affection to others is a part of social emotional development. The child's relationship to a trusting and caring adult is a foundation of emotional development and personality development. Furthermore, when the child has been neglected, rejected, and does not feel secure, he has difficulty developing skills to socialize with others. 1. Temperament. Children from birth differ in the ways they react to their environment. Temperament refers to the quality and degree or intensity of emotional reactions. Passivity, irritability, and activity are three factors that affect a child's temperament. Passivity refers to how actively involved a child is with his or her environment or surroundings. A passive infant withdraws from or is otherwise not engaged with a new person or event. An active infant does something in response to a new person or event. There is also difference in the level of irritability, tendency to feel distressed of infants. Some infants may cry easily and be difficult to comfort and soothe even if you hold them. Other infants may rarely cry and are not bothered as much by change. Caring for these infants is usually viewed as easier for adults. Activity levels or levels of movement also vary in infants. We also need to adjust to the temperament of different children. Even very irritable infants can grow to be emotionally happy and well-adjusted if caregivers are patient, responsive, and loving in their caregiving ways. The infant will begin to show fear, anger, and anxiety between 6 and 9 months of age. Signs of fear are the open mouth with the corners of the mouth pulled back, wide eyes, and raised eyebrows. By the end of the second year, children have developed many ways to express their emotions. 2. Attachment. Socially, young children, and particularly infants, tend to focus on the adults who are close to them and become bonded to a small group of people early in life, mainly the people who care for them. This forms the basis for attachment, which is the strong emotional tie felt between the infant and the significant other. The quality of attachment depends upon the adults. When attachments are formed, young infants learn that they can depend on mothers, fathers, caregivers, or older siblings to make them feel better. Crying and clinging are also attachment behaviors of infants which are used to signal others. Infants as early as 1 month old show signs of attachment in the form of anxiety if they are cared for by an unfamiliar person. 3. Separation anxiety. Separation anxiety is attachment behavior of infants. This is when a child shows distress by often crying when unhappy because a familiar caregiver, parent, or other caregiver is leaving. Children between the ages of 9 and 18 months will usually have a lot of difficulty beginning a child care program. Parents can make the transition easier by bringing the child's favorite toy or blanket along. An understanding of infant growth and development patterns and concepts is necessary for parents and caregivers to create a nurturing and caring environment which will stimulate young children's learning. The growth and development of infants are periods of rapid change in the child's size, senses, and organs. Each change brings about new abilities. An infant's development in motor coordination, forming concepts, learning and using language, having positive feelings about self and others prepares them to build upon new abilities that will be needed for each change in a new stage of development. Caregivers can provide activities and opportunities for infants that encourage exploration and curiosity to enhance children's overall development. Study Section 9 Summary. At the end of this study session, you have learned that cognitive development refers to the ways children reason, think, develop language, solve problems, and gain knowledge. Identifying colors, completing a maze, knowing the difference between one and many, and knowing how things are similar are all examples of cognitive tasks. Children learn through their senses and through their interactions with people and things in the world. The expression of feelings about self, others, and things describe emotional development. Learning to relate to others is social development. Emotional and social development are often described and grouped together because they are closely interrelated growth patterns. Feelings of trust, fear, confidence, pride, friendship, and humor are all part of social emotional development. This is the end of Study Section 9. Thanks for listening.